I guess I almost died from a tooth infection, but I'm better now, and this is what I've been up to around the homestead. I picked up a 77 C10 to make a farm truck that I can use around the homestead. I tore the guts of the inside out, pretty well finished the inside of the truck. I just need to cover the seat bench and paint the door panels. More about the truck later, but I got so sick it set me back, and I was almost ready to build my Russian stove, but I just got so sick it set me back, and then I broke down. I had to get the truck. So now we're going to get back to building the Russian stove. I've explained this many times, but briefly, if you don't know, I want a Russian stove, but I'm going to create it in my own way. When I built the cabin, I did so with the intention of pouring a huge foundation for this Russian stove. It's actually about 3,000 pounds, or an entire pallet of concrete, and this will support all the weight of the masonry and stone and brick that I'm going to put on top of it. Usually Russian stoves don't have an oven in it, but you can put a little oven on there. And the window for the fire is usually relatively small. So I'm going to alter my Russian stove to be a little more Americanized by having the large open front doors with glass so you can see the ambience of the fire. So it's more like a fireplace, and it'll have a larger oven. I'll use a pizza oven door, and I've already got all the cast iron set aside. It's going to have a grill top, and so in some ways it'll be similar, and some ways it won't be, to a standard Russian stove. Here's roughly what the most common Russian stove that I've seen looks like, and I'll just change mine to meet my needs. So Russian stoves can be built so that they're very efficient, and maybe you just need to put a few logs in it at night and let them burn throughout the night. It heats up this entire space, this large Russian stove. There's a lot of surface area. It heats all that brick up, and it can continue to warm your space all night long. So you can make it very efficient to burn a smaller amount of wood. Some people have voiced their opinion that they're concerned that it might just get too hot in here. And, the simple thing is number one, this is the first stove I've ever built. It's probably not going to be as efficient as the guy that's been building them for a decade. And I can always put in a little bit less wood or crack a window, and I think that everything's going to work out just fine. Oh no, my source of heat is too efficient. Anyway, it gets really cold here in the high desert. I'm closer to 6,000 feet elevation. People think that it's extremely hot in all parts of Arizona, but that's just not true. I got a couple older dogs, and I thought it might be nice to put their signature in the concrete, and a friend, I know it's hard to believe, but I have a friend, suggested I put my handprint in there too. So there's a resistor on the back of the fuel gauge. It's a 90 ohm 5 watt resistor, I believe. This one, when I put the meter on it with ohms, it only measures 40 ohms. This is still a good resistor, and it reads 90. So I'm going to switch these two out because I already have a temperature gauge in there. Matter of fact, you know what's wild? They ran another temperature gauge because the temperature gauge in there is not working great. So actually, I'll probably leave this one and then see if one of these has one, and pull it from this. And then I'll be able to put, this was the original fuel gauge. I'm starting to think that that's the only problem, and it doesn't even need the fuel sender that I ordered. So this is the fuel gauge, and you can see it only reads 46, 45 ohms. And this was the temperature gauge, and look, it has a 90 ohm resistor. It's working. So I got to take that resistor off, replace it with this one. I wanted to use one of these other resistors, but one of them's bad, and the other one for volts is 120 ohms. I'll bet it's supposed to be 120 ohms. And that's just probably too high for the fuel gauge. It probably would just spike into the full level all the time. So I got to take this one off, put it here, and I still do have a different temperature gauge in there. So At least my fuel gauge will work for now. I've got a different temperature gauge, and I'll order another one, and I'll fix this and put it in, and then yank out that other temperature gauge that's on the dash because it's ugly. Why not just use the original? So the fuel sender here should put out 90 ohms. Let's see if I can get this with one hand. Nope. So we've been pulling about 75 ohms, which is close, but apparently not good enough. So we'll yank this out real quick and put in a new one. So this is brand new, and it's pulling less ohms than the old one, and that's concerning. What's to say that this is going to work? What the heck? Well, I guess I got proof to show him if it don't work. What a son of a gun if I put this in and it don't work. You know what I just realized? My stupidity. I could have tested it when it was outside. So it's because the fuel level. And that leads me to wonder if the other one was bad at all. And if it really is just the resistor in the panel. But, you know, they go bad anyway. May as well just throw it in and see what happens, I guess. I ordered a couple new tires for the truck, so I needed to get the tire changer in concrete to make it happen. I think I finally figured out the main cause of all my problems is a PCV valve, and that's why the catalytic converters were all messed up. I guess the air is fresh over here. That's why Incas is sitting by the exhaust. That's how clean it is. I've been bouncing back and forth between the trucks, showing them both some love. This guy needs a new valve cover gasket, so I'm going to pull the valve cover, and eventually we'll get to work on that carburetor. Here's a good cork gasket for the valve covers. And of course I checked the valves. They are hydraulic, but after 49 years, they could be messed up, and they are adjustable. But these ones are fine, so I went ahead and painted this cover to put everything back together. I really only took this clip for myself, and what I'm doing is I spent a few hours scrubbing the motor off, different parts, identifying the numbers that are on the vehicle of my C10 to find out exactly what components are where. Are these original components? Has it all been upgraded? And it looks like everything is actually original from the 77, and that leads me to believe that it might actually only have 160,000 miles like the odometer says. I'm only halfway done with the tune-up, but I've got to get to work on the body as well. I love monsoon season, and we're finally starting to get a little rain here on my high desert homestead. Something I could point out is people said, man, it's loud when it rains, and it was when there were plastic windows, but it's quite a bit quieter now. I just vacuumed the entire oh, hey guys. Okay, calm down, I'm trying to show them. I just vacuumed the entire cabin yesterday, and look at all that hair. That's what I'm dealing with this guy here. He sheds about a pound of hair a day. I comb him every day. You can see where, like, this is all combed, but then he's got these patchy areas. Oh my God, dude, it just keeps coming, buddy. This is just one-time thing, right? It wasn't long ago I had the driveway graded and it made the sand super powdery. So once the rain fell, I made laps around the driveway to harden the ground up, and it really worked well. You can see it cracks and stuff because of the high clay content. And I've almost got this entire corner filled area covered, and I keep planting seed out here. I really think that we're going to have some kind of a crop here before long. Of course, we're depending on rainfall, and the rain is just now starting. Here's your little instruction guide for the Bondo. So basically, we'll probably do a 4-inch puddle. So you pour out the normal Bondo stuff, right? And then you just draw a line, the width. So if you do a 4-inch puddle, draw a 4-inch line of the hardener, and I'll show you what that looks like. And the most important thing here is to make sure you have the most advanced putty knife that you can get. So this right here, NASA designed these to perform better than the stuff you buy at the store. This is NASA certified. And then, let's see. It's a putty knife here. Okay. So, let's see if I can get this with my finger. Oh yeah! Check it out. Check it out. This reminds me of my childhood because my dad's a body man. Oh no, did I let too much air get on it? It's a little bit dried up, huh? Maybe. It's a little unhappy. It's set up a little bit maybe, huh? I might have left the lid off of it too long. That's okay. We're gonna finish what we need to today. And then here's the hardener. So just draw a line across it. Whoop! That's how easy it is. And you just got to mix that in. And then you don't have long, really like 15-20 minutes. This might not be the best perspective, but this was the largest hole. And I would say, it was like half a fist. But there was some metal back behind it. I cleaned up the rust, filled it pretty good. And then now, see, most of these spots aren't going to require 2 coats. Because I'm not trying to make this a show car. I just want it to paint up decent. And so now we can just fill in that little bit there. Get in there, huh? The trick with Bondo is it gets pretty hard, so you don't want to put on more than you have to. Fill the hole, get it to hold, and then try to float it out fairly decently so that you're not just sanding for hours. Okay, so that's pretty clean, but then it's going to need just a little more skimming on the top there to really get that out of the way. And if it's not perfect, that's probably fine. I'm not going to do 3 coats, I think that'll do. And there, now we can move on to the rest. And you can see the spots around it are nice and smooth and flush now. Flush enough, See, these are just, there's a few holes, but for the most part, these were just rusty spots that held that trim on. And I've removed the trim, and so most of these I just need to smooth over like that. And then this one, see, that first one I had a hole. Here's 4 holes. I don't know why. They bolted something to the side of the truck here. Or used it to pull a dent maybe, but I doubt it because there hasn't been any real impressive body work here. Okay. So remember, you don't want it to be too high, so you take it down as much as you can without wiping away too much. So I sanded these down to get rid of all the rust, and then you would just see little imperfections if I painted right over it. So we're just floating a little Bondo, so you can just sand it smooth with the rest of the paint job. Oop, oh, too much. Gosh, I'm trying not to leave very much on there if I don't have to. This is a pain because there's 4 holes here. Trying to fill them in without putting a pound of Bondo on there. Bondo's drying already. It's already starting to get clumpy. We're almost out of Bondo anyway. So I guess I should say it only gives you about 5 or 7 minutes to work with it, and then it's about 20 minutes to dry. There we go. I think that's about all I can get out of here. Okay, so now we'll make up another batch and get the rest of the spots. And I'll just make new NASA approved putty paddles. You see, the most important thing is there's almost no rust now, and we'll be priming every little bit of it and painting it all. And taking out most of those little imperfections will just make a big difference. Stapes. Stapes. Good boy. Say thanks, Roger. Ceramic brake parts lubricant. I guess you just smear this all over the brake pad. And then my dogs have destroyed every chew toy ever, and these are supposed to be for super aggressive dogs. So we'll put these in the cabin and see how they do. Oh, and I got my my oil filter, and then I've got a couple fuel filters, and then I just replaced the PCV valve on the van. So I figured, why wouldn't I do that on this old truck? He hears Incus playing with his, and he wants to play with that one now. A few months ago, my cats had kittens, but the weather was bad, and by the time I caught it, it just wasn't a good situation. I stayed up and tried to bottle feed them, and it didn't pan out, but we've got a fresh start here with some new kittens. Mal's trying to fill out if he can go grab it without her getting mad at him. And it's funny because this one has been sitting just behind her this whole time, but he wants the one she had. I can't believe I'm seeing fireworks for the first time in over 5 years. Clear out there. That's over a 2-hour drive away. I wonder if I can see him on this other side too, because there's another town over here. I can. There's more on this side. Watch. Oh my god, I just saw some over there too. I'm looking at 3 different towns. So there's some out there. There's some out here at this one. There, you can see some out there. And then there's some out here. Wow. I think the ones that show the most are over here.